guys, it's Katherine again, and in this film we're reviewing to the Vampire Diaries Season 5, Episode 8, Dead Man on Campus. This episode was really good. It wasn't as good as last week's, but I still thought it was a really great episode in that now we're dealing with the aftermath of what happened last week, and there's a lot that happened in this episode. It wasn't as intense as last week, but it was it was still a very crazy episode. So let's talk about the first big thing, which basically has to do with Jessie's storyline, which kind of just like wrapped up in this episode. And it's not completely wrapped up though, I'll get to that in a second though, but basically it's day 14 of Jessie's treatments. Wes gives him this blood via transfusion. He roars to life, breaking through his shackles and sucking the bag of blood dry. Then he turns on Wes. So the main plot was basically that Caroline and Elena want to throw this big welcome back party, welcome to college, back to life party for Bonnie. And Elena wants Damon to come and bring Stefan, but Stefan, doesn't want to because he's still having nightmarish panic attacks and wants to be alone. And Caroline's interrupted by the party plan, because, Caroline's always the one to plan all the parties because, she's just so great at that. I always love it when Caroline plans out parties and plans out things. She's really funny. And basically she gets this call, from Jessie. She gets this call from Jessie, and basically he says, you gotta come in here, my roommate's here, my roommate's about to come in. And it turns out that Jessie and his roommate is actually Aaron, and Jessie is about to feed on Aaron. Luckily, though, Elena shows up with their stash, and the girls give him a quick tutorial on how to be a vampire, and he starts to settle into his new lifestyle. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna close my door. Sorry, I was just closing my door, was bothering me. Okay. So, as this party is going underway, Damon is busy interrogating Wes. He is strapped down to the exam chair, and Damon is going through his collection of dangerous disasters. Damon proposes a game. He injects Wes with one disease at a time. If Wes answers his questions correctly, he will give him a sip of his healing vampire blood. If he doesn't, well, let the disasters ravage him. After lots of playful banter, Wes reveals that he has turned Jessie into a new kind of vampire, one that feeds on vampire blood, monsters feeding on monsters. And once a vampire starts to feed on his own kind, he can't stop. So it's a really, really bad thing when Jessie and Caroline start making out and he bites her lip because, Caroline is a vampire, so it's a really bad thing. Jessie ends up leaving the party. He seeks out Wes, still down in the lab, Damon having promised Elena to keep Wes alive. And the reason is because Aaron finally opens up to Elena. You know how we had all this mystery with Aaron's character? We finally found out why he's so troubled, what the trouble with him is. It turns out that he is just like her. His parents also died when he was sick on a camping trip, during which they were mauled by bears. Most likely they were vampires, but he said they were mauled by bears, because, he doesn't really know about the vampires yet. And after bouncing around for a number of years, Wes was the one who became his legal guardian. And that's the closest thing to family he has. So Elena says to Damon that you cannot kill him. Whatever you do, you just do not kill him. And I really love that because, we basically found out that, Aaron is a lot like Elena. Aaron's a lot like Elena. He's human, he has no parents, and the only family that he has is Wes. Let's look back on Elena, Season 1. All the family that she had was Alaric and Jenna. Those were the only people she had in Season 1 and Season 2 of the Vampire Diaries. That's all she had in Season 3. Now she has nobody, except herself and Caroline and all these other people. So eventually, most likely, vampires, Wes became his legal, as I said. Okay, so Jessie gets this sniff, and he goes for it. Damon catches him quickly, and he says I'm a lot older and a lot stronger. Damon brags he goes for it, but Damon catches him quickly. Damon brags, actually, there's not 100% accurate. Wes informs him before Jessie tackles Damon to the floor. The boys fight, and Jessie sinks his fangs into Damon's neck. Elena appears and tries to talk Jessie down, but that clearly isn't working, so she stakes him. As Caroline comes around the corner, she holds Jessie as he dies, then snidely tells Elena that the old Elena would have given Jessie a chance, and Damon is left to clean up the West mess as he puts vials of disease back in the fridge. He sees a pack of Jessie's blood identified only by his code number, and Damon asks about it. Wes wants to know why he cares, because, and it's basically, here's the big thing here. Oh, also, the biggest thing is that, unfortunately, Jessie died and everything. That's the saddest part of this. As I said, Jessie did die. And it really is sad because, I am happy that Caroline and Jessie did get those last scenes together and they did get that closure. And Jessie, I think it's good that he died because it does move the storyline, because the biggest thing here is we find out, here comes the biggest thing, is, Damon sees this pack of Jessie's blood identified only by his code number. And Damon basically asks, Wes, what's it all about? He wants to know, and Wes says, why do you care? And he says, because I was 21051, and Wes is very surprised. You are an Augustine vampire, and it turns out that he hasn't heard that name in decades, and Damon thought that they shut it down 60 years ago, and despite his promise to Elena, Damon's, ready to kill him. He's like, okay, you did that to me, I'm about to kill you, and unfortunately, though, Wes has been working on his binds with a hidden scalpel, and he is free now. So Damon rushes to him, but Wes is faster to the emergency room. Atomized vervain pours in for what in normal labs would be fire sprinklers, and Damon passes. When working with vampires, you can never be too careful. He walks into a tiny dungeon-like prison, a cell he had been before marked with his initials. So now Damon's in very deep shit right now. Something really bad is going to happen to Damon. We don't know what, but he's in very, very deep shit. It's not going to be good, whatever happens to him. Whatever happens to him, it's not going to be good, and he should be really worried. So I really like the main plot. I like the way it was done, but then the other plot had to do with Stefan and Katherine and Nadia. So Stefan's getting drunk at the grill. Katherine is doing the same, but she has half a bottle of bourbon on, she has half a bottle of bourbon on him, and Matt agreed to keep serving her when she translated the possession video of him. We haven't seen Matt since episode 5, so this was interesting to see Matt again. Stefan doesn't really want to talk to Katherine when Katherine sits with him, but he eventually does. She diagnoses him with PTSD and offers to help because, he has PTSD. Stefan's instantly worried and wants to know what she wants in return. Katherine's hurt, but she knows a little something about PTSD, and for once, she was actually trying to be selfless. Stefan apologizes, but he is interrupted by Nadia. Katherine begrudgingly introduces her as her daughter. And Katherine, Nadia, and Stefan go into the back room, and Matt follows with a dagger he found from Gregor. Nadia summons Gregor, and Katherine begins the interrogation. Gregor's in town for Mr. Silas. Katherine pulls out the dagger, and Gregor admits he was there to kill Katherine. He is apparently what the travelers want. This surprises Nadia, but not Katherine, because Nadia's paternal grandfather was a traveler. And Katherine stabs Gregor with the dagger. The dagger is the only thing that will kill the traveler, but Matt will be fine. So Gregor's dead, but I'm guessing that Matt's going to be back. So afterwards, Stefan is fall down drunk and having severe flashbacks. He goes outside for air, but can't calm down. Katherine then follows him, tries to talk to him down. He says, hey, you gotta stop what you're doing. He freaks out and he starts violently choking her. It's pretty intense. She continues to try, forcing him to name the first person he ever killed, then the second and the next one. She uses the same trick, and it gives back control and forces the mind to focus. It works on Stefan, and he releases her. Nadia comes out, and she's mad that Katherine killed her boyfriend and storms away. So back in the bar, Stefan settles at the table and he sees this note addressed to Nadia. This was the most heartbreaking scene of the episode, and it's from Katherine. It's a suicide note. Katherine is on a clock tower trying to summon the courage to jump, and because after 500 years on the run, she can't escape her past, and the future is catching up with her far too quickly. She jumps and she lands hard, and Katherine didn't know where else to go. It's been worrying her for 500 years, so of course she'd be upset. And eventually Stefan catches her, but he tells her that she is Katherine Pierce and she needs to suck it up, basically. But I really like where Katherine's plot is going. I like where this storyline is going. I thought this was really cool what they did with this. So I definitely really enjoyed Katherine's plot. Of course, Katherine's plot has been the best part of this whole season, so I definitely think this was a really great plot. Last thing we have to talk about is Bonnie and Jeremy. Really quickly, Bonnie's very happy with her new life. She's making out with Jeremy on the quad. She sees this strange old woman staring at her. She approaches, and the woman grabs Bonnie's wrist and passes through her. Bonnie later sees the old lady at the party. Now that she has crossed over, she thanks Bonnie for being a friendly face and tells her it is peaceful on the other side. Jeremy interrupts and spirits her away to a hotel room so that they can finally sleep together. They are getting into it when she freezes. She sees Jessie. He is scared and doesn't want this, but he touches Bonnie and passes through her. She doubles over, worrying Jeremy. He is annoyed. She didn't tell him she's the anchor now, but assures him it is fine. Any consequence is worth being with him. And I really like them together. I think it's very cute that they are together and everything, and I'm glad that we see that. I did like the scene where she's like, well, I know Jeremy because she's my best friend's little brother, but I think I'm also in love with him. And I like the way that all worked out because we got to see that Bonnie really does love him, and I think that's great to see. So definitely this was a really great episode. I definitely really enjoyed it. There were a lot of scenes that were really great. Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought of this episode. Let me know what you guys thought of it. I really, really enjoyed it. But that's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.